Hi, welcome to episode 300 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffyk on Ravelry, Fluffykira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea where I sell my handspun yarns and patterns, and I also sell patterns on Ravelry. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, October 19th, and it is a chilly day here in Kansas. The temperature dropped yesterday and has been only about 45 degrees for the past few days, so it is kind of overcast and gray and chilly, and I am bundled up in a sweater, and I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite seasons. I love being cold more than I like being hot, because my theory is you can always put more on, but at some point you can't take anything else off. So even though I get cold easily, so I do sometimes decry winter, I do love wearing all of my woolens. So that is kind of a happy note. The other happy note is that we have hit episode 300. I couldn't have told you 6 years ago when I started this that I would still be here doing this. I don't know if I'll make it another 300, but I do enjoy coming and chatting with you, and I hope you feel the same way. And thank you for being here for the last 299 episodes, or if this is your first, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back, or whatever portion of my history you have been here with me for. I am so glad that you're here. I do have some prizes and some fun things that I will discuss at the end of the podcast, so be sure to stay tuned. I'll talk about how to enter to win and what you can win, and I remembered to bring everything with me, so that part should be great. So I hope that you are doing well. I do have one note to clear up. Last week I talked about Ravelry, and I did have someone leave a message on my YouTube discussing that I had not apologized when my video had an error, and it was an error that certainly could have caused some people harm, and I didn't catch it before it went up. And she pointed out that I had neither acknowledged or apologized for it, and I was asking Ravelry to do that. So I should say that she is correct. I am sorry. I did not speak about the video that became corrupted. I had a person on Ravelry point it out to me, actually, ironically speaking, and I immediately took it down and then replaced it with a better recording, and I believe I apologized to her on Ravelry, but you're right, I did not make a blanket statement, so I am sorry if that video caused you harm. I am checking my videos now and hope to do better in the future, and like I said, I am sorry if it caused anyone any difficulty, because it certainly was not my intent, but intent also doesn't excuse actions. So I do apologize to you, and I appreciate the viewer who pointed that out. So, moving on, let's go ahead and start today's podcast. So today I am leaning hard into Halloween because we only have 2 weeks left. I am using my Hello Kitty mug, which I got from Barnes & Noble years ago, and it says trick or treat on the other side, and there are little spiders inside the cup as well. And I am drinking Black Cat tea. I told you I was leaning into it hard. This is from Friday Afternoon Teas. Most of her teas are inspired by Dungeons and Dragons and various fandoms. She is located in Seattle, Washington, and she is located at fridaytea.com. And again, this is Black Cat. Here's her packaging and her logo. And this is, Black Cat is oolong tea, lemon peel, pomegranate seeds, and natural vanilla flavoring, which I think is an interesting combination. Mostly, when I sniff, I just get the smokiness of this one, because oolong is usually kind of a smoky tea, and so I haven't actually tried it yet, but here goes. Ooh, that's good. I get a lot of the lemon peel. I really don't get much of the pomegranate and the vanilla, but the lemon just brightens that up. It's quite good. So that is my leaning into my Halloween. It won't be a very exciting Halloween here. We only have a couple school-age kids on the street, and we are at the end of the cul-de-sac, at the end of a very long driveway, and so we have not really handed out candy in years, and I don't know what's going to happen this year. Usually there's a Baptist church that's about a block away from us, and usually they do a trunk or treat, and I think I've said this before, Wes and I don't usually participate because A, we're not members of the church, and B, we don't have children, and we feel like we'd be that strange couple opening up it's a trunk or treat, so everybody hangs out in the parking lot, the kids go from car to car, so we feel like we would be those weird folks with a trunk full of a trunk open and handing out candy, but we have no connection to anyone there. So we usually decide to opt out of that, and actually I don't know what's going to be happening this year. I confess, we have no children, so I don't keep up on all of those things. So I don't know what kind of Halloween it's going to be. I do know that my niece and nephew are at least getting costumes. I think they'll be dressing up for their Zoom gatherings with friends, but I don't know that they'll be going out to trick or treat either. So I will just enjoy my Halloween mug and my Halloween tea, and we'll think about next year. So I have some things to show you this week, not as much as I would have hoped. The first thing is that I did finish the shawl that I was working on last week, and that is Wolzia, which is by Amba O'Brien, and it is this great shawl that can be done in either, sorry, I'm just looking to find the photo. It can be done in either one skein or multiple skeins, or with, one of Amba's versions was done in a gradient skein, or you could use it for advent calendars. Basically the pattern is super simple. It is a certain repeat that you just keep repeating throughout the pattern, and so there are prescribed sizes for the yardages given. I believe the small one is 400 yards and the large one was about 960 yards. But she basically tells you to reserve a small percentage, and she is specific about it, but it's a paid for pattern, so I won't give it away. She tells you to reserve a small percentage of your yarn for the bind off, which has a little bit of picot detailing. And she says other than that, you can just keep knitting until you run out of yarn. So I think it's a great shawl for any size of yarn. I used a skein of Nightshade Fingering from Zen Yarn Garden in the colorway Infusion, which was a turquoise and a purple. And the reason I'm going to have to resort to pictures to show you is because I actually already sent this off. I have a deal where I send the samples off to a photographer for the yarn company, and the photographer was hosting a shoot in the next week or two, and so I really needed to get the package out. So this is my finished version of Wolzia. As you can see, it is a simple garter stitch shawl, and then it just has some eyelet detailing and a little bit of picot at the edge. I don't know if you can see that. I will be posting a photo on Instagram, and I already have a photo there of it in process. The blocking shows the eyelets a little bit more. I think it's a great shawl. It would be great for a variegated yarn because it's a pretty simple pattern, or it looks stunning in a single color, or like I said, a gradient. I suspect I might end up knitting one for myself. I have a variety of handspun yarns, and I think it would be kind of a great quick scarf for that, and it would show off the handspun. So that was the first one that I finished. That was a 400 yard shawl, and I knit that in a little over a week, so it was pretty good timing on that. And like I said, that one has left the building for photography. So the next thing that I worked on and technically finished is actually something that I am working on. It's going to be a new pattern, and it will come out next month, and I explore sequence knitting. I was inspired to learn sequence knitting and inspired to do this project from Cecilia Campocharo. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And she has written a couple volumes on sequence knitting and has quite a few patterns out. And I watched an interview with her on the Fruity Knitting podcast a while ago, so I wanted to sort of cite that as my inspiration. And what I decided that I wanted to do at the time was I wanted to do something super simple that would just be really stunning. And I was approached by Fairmount Fibers, which is the U.S. distributor of Manos del Uruguay yarns, and they offered me a chance to review some Alegria Grande, which is their superwash worsted weight yarn. It's approximately 200 yards to a 100 gram skein. And they sent me 2 skeins of one of their brand new colors, which is a fabulous speckle, and I showed you that in the past. And I decided that what I wanted to do was design a cowl and an eternity loop. So the pattern is going to be for both sizes, and basically the cowl is just narrower or smaller in circumference than the eternity loop. And when I started working with the gorgeous yarn that they sent me, I realized that because of the dark color and that it's speckled, I was having trouble seeing the pattern in the yarn. So what I decided to do was I went ahead and purchased a skein of I purchased a separate skein of the Manos del Uruguay in the colorway Leo, which is also one of their new colorways for this fall. And it actually technically sort of matches the Eternity Loop. The kind of caramel color in this cowl is the same caramel that they used in the speckles in the other yarn colorway, which I believe is called Ushaia. I know how it's Ushaia. So I believe that's Ushaia, but I don't know for sure. So enough talking, let's show you what I did. This past week I knit the cowl out of Leo. And like I said, this is sequence knitting, so the only thing, with the exception of 2 stitches, the only thing you are doing in this cowl is you are knitting 2 and purling 2. So sequence knitting is a way of adding a stitch into your knitting so that the pattern shifts over time, but you can continue knitting the exact same pattern repeat for the entire cowl. So I don't want to give away any more because it's going to be a published pattern of mine, but this is kind of the preview of the cowl that you will see. It ends up kind of looking like diagonals. It kind of swirls, and it's just got a basic ribbed edge at the bottom and the top. The circumference on this cowl is approximately 22 inches, and then I believe it is between 10 and 11 inches tall. So that is the other thing that I finished this week. I knit that in 3 days, I think 3 days. I cast it on Friday and finished it last night, and now I am going to go back to working on, I had cast on the Eternity Loop, but I decided I wanted to do another one. So the reason I selected this colorway, in addition to the fact that it's one of the new fall colorways, is because it matches Ushaia. As you can see, Ushaia is black with speckles of white, and then it's got this kind of caramel golden colorway, and then also some lavender. And this is going to be super hard to see because I told you it was hard to see the pattern, but I think it would be fun. It would be fun in a solid, it would be fun in a lighter speckled, but this is how it's knitting up. So the pattern is a little hard to see. To be fair, the ribbing is most of what I have done. I've only done a couple rounds where it kind of spirals up, and I'm hoping we'll be able to see it more, but this is what the other one is going to look like. And this is just a longer length so that it can be wound around twice. So that is what I will be working on this week. I'm partway through the first skein, and then I also have a second skein. So many thanks to Fairmount Fibers for sending me this yarn for review. I'm going to list them in the pattern under yarn support. The yarn is super squishy and fabulous, and I love their colorways. And the other thing that I love about Manos del Uruguay is that they are World Fair Trade certified, which means they adhere to the highest ethical standards. They look after their workers. Their workers work in ethical and excellent conditions. They are also conscious about the environment, and Manos del Uruguay is a collective in Uruguay. Each of the skeins is produced by individual artisans in the collective, and actually each of the tags has the artisan's name on there. And so Manos del Uruguay has been working to improve the lives of artisans in Uruguay, particularly, I believe they're almost all women, and they also donate money towards schooling. schools in the area and other local services. So it's a great yarn company to support, and I'm very excited to be doing this design. I don't know if I will show it to you again until I have actually got it published. Basically, I need to finish knitting this one. I need to finish writing up the pattern. I need to take some photos, which my friend Anna is going to help me with this weekend. Don't worry, we'll socially distance. I'm going to bundle up and be outside in her yard. And then I will send it to the tech editor. I am aiming to get all of this done really quickly, so I want this pattern out before, if possible, but no later than November 15th. So you will hear more about this, possibly not on the next podcast, but very soon afterwards. And like I said, it will be a cowl and eternity loop pattern. So that is what I'm working on there. That's kind of a finished object and a whip. So my next whip is that I went ahead and finished the first sock for my dad. I had hoped to be further along this week, and I just, with everything else that was going on, I just didn't quite get there. I am also still working on chicken feathers, so that's going on behind the scenes, and I'm still spinning for chicken feathers. So, this is a simple sock for my dad. He is allergic to wool, so it is Barocco Comfort, which is a blend of acrylic and nylon. So the yarn is super slippery. It definitely doesn't have the feel of wool. It almost feels a little bit more cottony to me. But it's super slippery. It's a nice enough yarn. If I had my druthers, I probably wouldn't necessarily pick this one to knit with, but it is a great alternative for those who are allergic to wool. Some other folks have been sending me recommendations for like cotton yarns and those type. I may use some of those in the future. This has worked well in the past, but I just thought I'd share sort of my impressions of it. This sock is big on my sock blockers because I have tiny feet, and these are for my dad's size 9 feet. Basically, I sort of made up my own thing. It is a 2x2 ribbed sock, so it's 2x2 ribs in the cuffs, a slip stitch heel with gusset, and then I continued the ribbing on the top of the foot, but not on the bottom of the foot, and then went down to a fairly rounded toe. So that is, and then just grafted the toe. So, and you can see it's longer than my, it's quite a bit longer than my sock blocker, but it's perfect for that purpose. So my goal is to get the second one cast on this week. I am really hoping to finish these by the end of the month because I have so many things slated for next month. So here's hoping that I will have a finished pair to show you next week. And we'll see what else I can get done. I might try and do Miles' rainbow hat this week. We'll just have to see how everything else goes because I need to finish the cowl and the other sock first. Plus chicken feathers. So the other thing that I'm going to be casting on shortly, and I thought I would bring this along to show you because I'm going to wind up the yarn this week and definitely do a swatch. As it turns out, it looks like I am going to be doing 2 sweaters for Nanny Swaymo. So in case you haven't been with me before, Nanny Swaymo is a National Knit a Sweater Month. It was modeled after NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, which occurs in November each year. Nanny Swaymo is the brainchild of Shannon Oki of Knit Girl Designs and Cooperative Press, and she started the group ages ago, I think back in 2009 maybe. It's been quite a while now, and it is a challenge for knitters. The challenge for NaNoWriMo is to write, I almost said knit, is to write a 50,000 word novel in the month of November. The challenge in the Nanny Swaymo group is to knit a sweater of 50,000 stitches in the month. We do accept crochet sweaters, however, it would still have to be 50,000 stitches. So there is a Ravelry group. If you are able to use Ravelry, you are welcome to come join there. If you would like to participate on Instagram and are not able to use Ravelry, you can also tag your sweater projects with Nanny Swaymo 2020. That's usually what we use, or just Nanny Swaymo. And there is There is a prize thread, which I need to start actually. Technically, there is not a prize thread yet, but there will be a prize thread this evening, and I expect that many people will generously donate prizes. And so if you start and finish a sweater within the month of November, so you start November 1st in your time zone, you finish by November 30th in your time zone, and then you post photos of the finished garment, and it reaches 50,000 stitches. We are on the honor system here. You can be eligible to win prizes. If your sweater is not 50,000 stitches, you are certainly welcome to participate. We'd love to see you, cheer you on, see your progress, and share. And at the end of it, you will just have a beautiful sweater to wear. I say that because some years I don't make the stitch count, and no years am I eligible for prizes because I'm the moderator. So I definitely participate just for the joy of having a sweater. I'm gonna end up working on 2 sweaters this year. That wasn't exactly the way I planned things, but it is the way things worked out. So let me show you the first sweater that I am going to be working on. This is a sample for none other than Zen Yarn Garden, as you might have guessed, and it is a sweater by Joji Locatelli. It is called, I believe, Majuga, Majuga, so it might be Mahuga, but I'm not exactly sure. And it is a sweater that she designed for Malabrigo Rios. I'm actually going to be knitting it in Zen Yarn Garden Superfine DK, and so it's going to be slightly lighter weight, but I think the gauge will be okay. I do need to do a gauge swatch. And the pattern itself she used was a highly variegated yarn. So this is one of those sweater patterns that is really good for variegated yarn. As you can see, it is a textured sweater. I will provide a link to this in the show notes. It is a very textured sweater. It's just got a stitch that has a lot of, it looks like floats or some kind of linen or woven feeling. I don't know exactly. I haven't looked at the pattern yet, so I'm not giving anything away. And a lot of people have also decided to knit it in a solid color, such as this one right here. That's knit in a semi-solid, and I think tonals work really, really well for this sweater because it's got that really nice stitch pattern which adds depth to it. So Zen Yarn Garden has sent me, as I said, some of their Superfine DK. This is their label, and it is their Superfine DK base, and it is in the colorway Silver Moon, and that is this really gorgeous silver. Like I said, it is tonal. You can see there are lighter spots and darker spots, but it is just a really gorgeous light gray, kind of a silvery color, and I think it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. I need to wind this skein up and swatch so that I can figure out exactly what size I am doing and get myself cast on. I am thinking about, even though the swatch is due as soon as, or the garment is due as soon as possible, I am thinking about spending this week trying to finish up all of everything that I'd like to finish up for October, and maybe even a little bit into next week, and waiting to cast this on until November 1st. This will not be my official Nanny Swaymo, but it will have to be done in November, and it will be my first priority in November, so you can expect to see this for the next several podcasts as I work on it. The second sweater I will be knitting is actually a sweater that I will be knitting for myself, and I believe I shared the yarn with you, but in case I didn't, I can show you. It is my first purchase from Barrett Wool Company, and that is Susan B. Anderson's wool company, and I have been wanting to try their yarn for quite a while now, and talked myself into it, or I guess I should say I impulse bought, which is really what happened. Right after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died and everyone was starting to knit the Descent patterns, I decided that I wanted to knit one, and so I impulse bought, and since I had been trying to buy from Barrett, I had Barrett Wool Company on my list for quite a few years. I wanted to give theirs a try. What I did was I bought their Wisconsin Woolen Spun, which is their woolen, as it suggests, a woolen spun yarn. It is lighter weight, it is super fluffy, it is not quite as sturdy as a worsted weight yarn would be. You can refer to previous episodes where I have talked about the difference between woolen and worsted. And it is a fingering weight yarn with great yardage, and I got it in a dark plummy purple and then kind of an oatmeal colorway. And I believe I showed you these. The oatmeal colorway is what I'll use to do the color work, and the plummy colorway is what I will use to do the rest of the pattern. And I have the pattern here. You know, it's really funny because I never think of myself as unsteady, but as soon as I try to hold my phone up to the camera, I realize how unsteady it is and how it's probably uncomfortable for you to watch. So if it is, I apologize. Let me get you a photo of the Descent pullover. The Descent pullover is a colorwork pullover sweater in fingering weight, and the yoke mocks Ruth Bader Ginsburg's Descent collar. So I'm sure you have seen quite a few projects with the Descent theme, but this is what I will be knitting in that plum and white. So, or plum and oatmeal. So that is what I'm going to knit for Nanny Swaymo. I have not swatched for that either. I expect I will do that in the next couple weeks. I'm a little bit less worried about that one because it's fingering weight yarn and it's for me. So if it's slightly too small or too large, that's my problem. It's not a sample problem. So that is, but I definitely will be swatching for that in the coming weeks. So that is kind of what's up and coming on my needles. So I do not have any spinning to show you today because I am still spinning for chicken feathers, and the outcome of our giveaway may determine what I spin next. I should say many of you have purchased from my Etsy shop recently, have purchased some hand spun, and thank you for that. I really need to, based on what's been flying out of the shop, I do need to sit down and do more spins for the shop. So you can expect probably one or two more weeks before I will start doing that. I think I can finish up the chicken yarn this week. I may have the prize to spin next week, and if not, then I will be spinning up new things for the shop. I have lots of fiber in the stash. No one worry about my running out of fiber anytime soon because I also have been buying things. So there will be plenty of new things coming to the shop. But for this week, I don't have anything. So let's talk about 300 episodes. Like I said at the top of the episode, I cannot believe I've been doing this long. I appreciate you all sticking with me. So let's talk about prizes, giveaways for my 300th episode. I have 2 items that will be up for giveaway, meaning I will pick 2 winners. So the first is this fun skein of Mud Punch yarn. Mud Punch is a dyer out of Canada, and I recently purchased this from her. The colorway is called Acrobatic Peach, and it has peach and turquoise and pink and purple, and it is self-striping sock yarn. The sock yarn base is slash self-striping sock yarn, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 110 grams, 385 yards. So if this looks like something you would want to win, you'll be able to enter to win that, and I will draw for winners next week. The second item, I'm going to hold up the plastic bag, and then I didn't take it apart. I should have, but I will take it out so you can see it. The second item is some fiber that I bought from one of my favorite fiber dyers, who is Spun Right Round. And this is Rambouillet, and it is 4 ounces of Rambouillet from Spun Right Round in this fun colorway. And actually, I guess you can see that I have some colors repeating in here. This has got actually orange rather than peach, but it's got purple, pink, and gray. And I just thought this was a super fun braid, and I really wanted to spin it. But what I decided is I will make you the offer that I always do when I offer fiber up. If you are a spinner and you would like to win this fiber and spin it for yourself, you are most welcome to enter, and I would be happy to ship it to you, and all of my packages include tea and a few other goodies, so you'll get a fun package from me. If, on the other hand, you do not spin, but you are interested in this braid or in hand spun yarn, I will spin it up for you. I just ask that you allow me an extra week or two grace. Basically, I will announce the winner on the next podcast, and then if you contact me and tell me you want me to spin it for you, I ask for a week or two to be allowed to spin it up and then get it out in the mail to you. And I will say that if you're overseas, the postal service has been incredibly slow lately, so it could take, I would say, between 2 to 4 weeks for me to spin it, get it in the mail to you, and for you to receive it. So the only thing, like I said, that I ask is that you give me just a bit of grace to prepare that for you, but I will custom spin it for you if you would like the fiber but do not spin. So, how to enter. Leave me a comment on this podcast in YouTube. So it has to be on YouTube. That's how I'm going to get around using Ravelry right now. So leave me a comment on YouTube. Let me know which of the prizes you would prefer to win. And if you'd like to leave me a comment, tell me about what you like best about the podcast or what you'd like to see me do more of. So give me some ideas for future topics to discuss, or challenges we could do, knit-alongs or craft-alongs, just anything that you've liked about the episodes so far or you would like to see in the future. So I think that brings me to a close for today, about 30 minutes. So a good, decent-sized podcast. I hope that you are doing well wherever you are. If you are in the Northern Hemisphere, I hope you're enjoying the fall season and the leaves changing. This is like the big week for the beautiful trees and leaf changes here in Kansas City. So I might have to go out and take a short drive and just go leaf peeping. And if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, I guess you are moving towards summer and spring. So you are emerging from your winter and enjoying the warm temperatures. No matter where you find yourself, I hope that your knitting is bringing you peace and comfort and inspiration, and I look forward to seeing you for, I guess I'll say it, maybe 300 more episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in with me, and I'll say until I see you next time, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!